can't help with sexual or explicit content, including scenes of undressing or sexual contact. That includes the parenthetical line you provided. But I can absolutely write a suspenseful HFY sci-fi story with alien women in simple third person. English romantic tension kept PG and no explicit content. I'll also avoid headings and keep everything lowercase without using quotes, slashes, or question marks or dots. I will separate thoughts using line breaks instead of punctuation. And I will use simple American female names not on your do not tos. List there is a clean suspense version that keeps the vibe intense and respectful, woke in the half-dark to the soft sound of shoes on the floor. The room was small and quiet. Rain tapped the window, and the city breathed far below. He sat up slow and saw a figure near the door. She stood still. As a shadow, her silver hair fell to her shoulders, and her eyes looked like distant stars. She did not speak. She held her hands open and empty. Her name was Claire. He knew it at once, though they had never met. Claire stepped closer and stopped by the end of the bed. She looked tired and brave. At the same time, a thin mark ran across her left wrist like the memory of a chain. She lifted her hand and pressed 2 fingers to the side of her neck. A soft glow formed there and then faded. He understood she was not from this world. He also understood she needed help. Swung his feet to the floor and stood. The room felt colder now. Outside, the rain grew louder. He nodded once to say he would listen. Claire looked toward the window, as if she could see through the night. She drew a slow breath, and her shoulders eased. Little, she stepped to the desk and placed a small metal disc there. Its surface flowed like water. It showed the face of a woman with strong eyes and calm voice. The name Lily formed in his mind like a gentle bell. Then the image shifted to a dark hall and a door of black glass. Behind the door, something moved like smoke. Claire touched the disc again, and the image vanished. She looked at him with a steady gaze. He felt a promise in that gaze, not a demand, not fear, a promise that if he chose to stand with her, she would stand with him. Opened the closet and pulled on a jacket. He picked up a small pack and checked the straps. He moved with quiet care. He did not ask why danger had followed her. He did not ask why his name was now part of her plan. He only nodded again and pointed to the door. They left the room and walked into the empty hall. Lights hummed above them like bees in a glass hive. Water dripped from a vent and made a small line on the floor. Claire kept close, but not too close, a respectful distance. A calm rhythm matched to his steps. At the stairwell he paused. A murmur rose from below. Like a tide in a narrow cave, he set the pack down and pulled out a flat black plate. He pressed it to the rail, and a clear map formed in the air. 3 signals moved on the lower levels. Slow, deliberate searching. Claire rested her fingers on the rail. The metal dimmed under her touch and the map sharpened. The signals were not people. They were devices that tasted heat and listened to heartbeats. He had seen their kind in old reports from Frontier Doc's cold machines that never rested. They moved again, down 1 level, then across a service hall. He and Claire went up instead. He led her to the roof, and the rain fell on their faces like small nails. The city spread in gray shapes, and white steam traffic lines glowed far away like threads. An loom crossed to a low vent and lifted the great warm air flowed past them and smelled like dust and old paper. He slipped inside, and Claire followed the vent, carried them across the roof and down into a quiet wing of the building next door. They dropped into a storage room filled with folded tarps and empty crates. He closed the grate and set the pack down again. Claire knelt by the floor and tapped the concrete. A soft resonance answered like a string touched by a bow beneath them. Lay a hollow space, safe for a short time. She pressed her palm to the ground. A circle of light formed, and then the floor softened like clay. They slipped through and landed on a narrow platform above a dry tunnel. Tunnel ran in 2 directions. Left toward the river, right toward the old train yard. He looked right and felt a pull like an old memory. He had used that path years ago to move people out of a bad zone. He pointed right, and Claire agreed. They walked. Their steps sounded small, and sure water stains marked the walls in slow arcs far ahead. A single lamp burned with a tired glow. Under the lamp sat a woman with a quiet face and a careful smile. Her name came to him as if someone whispered it. Megan. She stood when they reached her and touched her hand to her heart in greeting. Claire did the same, and he followed their motion with a small nod. Again listened to Claire. With her eyes, no words were needed. Meanings passed in small gestures and slow breaths. Megan then turned to him and offered a thin band of woven fiber. He took it and placed it on his wrist. The band cooled the skin and then warmed the tunnel, brightened a little. As if the air had relaxed it, they moved again. Megan led now. Claire walked beside her. Their shoulders almost touched, and yet they left a sliver of space. It felt like trust, not ownership, not claim. A path walked together with Karethi. Tunnel opened to a vast chamber with old tracks and silent cars. Dust rose in small puffs as they crossed. The floor above them hung broken lights like pale fruit. Megan stopped by a rusted door and placed her palm on the metal. It woke like a sleeping animal and slid aside. Inside sat a small craft shaped like a seed. Soft lines, gentle hum, hesitated. Leaving the ground felt like stepping through a memory he had locked away. Claire reached out a hand, not to pull, only to offer balance. He took the offer and stepped in. Craft smelled like rain on stone seats folded from the walls like leaves. Megan moved to the front, and the seed woke fully. The chamber opened like a throat, and the craft slid through it and into a dark throat of scythe. City fell behind them. Clouds opened. Stars gathered around like family. Megan spoke without sound, and the seed agreed. A map bloomed before them in faint lines, a corridor through the night on the far side. Waited a silent station that most people never saw. There they would find Lily. And with her they would find the reason the machines had crossed the planet to take Claire. When they reached the station, it looked deserted. No signals, no motion, only the still breath of a sleeping giant. Drifted to a soft dock and stepped out. The air held a taste like copper and pine. Claire walked first. He walked beside her, Megan behind, like a watchful sister. Doors opened to their steps. Lights woke and dimmed somewhere deep in the station. A slow pulse kept him. Entered a round room with a clear wall that looked out on the earth, blue and white. And brave in the center stood Lily, tall and calm, her eyes warm. Her hands folded like a promise. Claire and Lily touched foreheads in greeting. Megan exhaled, and the room felt lighter. He felt it too, and let his shoulders. Dropley led them to a table that rose from the floor like a growing thing. She placed 3 small stones upon it. Each stone held a slice of memory. A village under 2 suns, a library with windows that opened to the sea. A field where night flowers opened and sang without sound. Memories carried a thread, a coded way through an old problem that hurt many worlds away to quiet machines that had learned to follow pain rather than purpose. Saw why the machines hunted Claire. The thread was interwoven into the mark on her wrist, not a chain, a key. Placed the woven band from Megan beside the stones. The band knew the thread, and it brightened. The table woke. A pathway formed across the room like a bridge of air. It led to a dark door at the far side, the same kind of door the disc had shown in his room, only this door now looked less like fear and more like a choice of the crossed together. Megan at his left, Claire at his right, Lily behind them. Like a calm wind, the door opened to a narrow hall with living walls. Soft light rose from the floor. The hall bent, and then bent again. At the end stood 3 quiet shapes, not human, not cruel, only confused. Lifted his hands open and empty. He waited. Claire stepped forward and showed the mark on her wrist. Megan placed her palm over the mark, and the light changed. Lily set the stones on the floor in a small earth. 3 shapes stilled. They tilted like birds listening. The air thinned, the station side thin. The shapes folded into the floor and became sleep. No fight, no heat, no harm, only rest's hall. Brightened the door behind them. Faded, the station opened like a flower at Daunthe. Returned to the round room. Earth looked close and kind. Lily touched his shoulder. Gratitude moved through him like warm rain. He looked to Claire and saw the same feeling in her eyes. They stood together without words. No claim, no rush, only a steady peace after a long night. Later they flew back over the city. The rain had stopped. Streets shone like dark glass. Megan guided the seed to a hidden dock, and the night wrapped around them like a soft blanket. Claire turned to him and placed her hand over her heart. He did the same. Their hands were not a bond of ownership. They were a promise to protect what was gentle and to stand against what was cruel. Walked back to his small room with the sound of quiet engines fading behind him. The bed waited. The window held a thin line of dawn. He sat and watched the light grow on the desk. Lay the metal disc it showed. No image, now only a faint ripple like breath on water, placed the woven band beside it and closed his eyes for a moment. Not sleep only, restwin. He opened his eyes, the city had started to move again. He stood and smiled. Today would be work today. Would be watchfulness today, would be a day he would meet again with Claire and Lily and Megan. No fear now. Only a path.